Chris Stuckman project Shelby. Chris Stuckman's project Shelby Oaks breaks Kickstarter record for a horror movie. Some background: I am a longtime viewer of Chris Stuckman's channel. He's a movie reviewer. He's one of those people that tends to contrast very heavily with with the way I approach things. He has a very stoic and logical approach to filmmaking, whereas I have a much more emotional and artistic, visceral. Yeah. No, I would say his is almost more his is more. He is very focused on a lot of the technical aspects, which he pays very close attention to. Whereas me, I tend to be very viscerally connected to the emotional, the way that I connect with it emotionally, because I don't know if he considers himself a film critic by trade or a filmmaker by trade. I don't. He's made short films before, but this is like his first big venture that it seems like. But I enjoyed the contrast of him and a guy like Jeremy Johns, who makes who's much more. I'm much more in like if there was one that I would say that there's a corollary between me and that person, it would be Jeremy Johns. Yeah. That I see the world more through eyes like his. But I've always appreciated the way that Chris Stuckman goes about reviewing movies. I don't always agree with him. He's a big horror fan, hence this project. I'm not a huge horror fan, but he every Halloween he does a horror movie review. Like he reviews horror movies all of October. So this is right in line with him, and I know that he loves found footage horror movies, which is what this is based on. Yeah. And I don't know if I sent you guys both the article. Did you check out the Kickstarter at all? I didn't look at the Kickstarter itself. He has this great video where he announces the project and what he's getting into.
Oh, he makes a video. Cool. Good for him.
And he talks about all the stuff that he's working on towards it. And he's just, the passion that he has for it is palpable.
The number just increased on Kickstarter.
Yeah, I was going to say, wow, it's not 650 anymore.
Well, and this article is why. And then he made a video today talking about this video and how much it meant to him. So
good for him.
Like, I love that type of enthusiasm from somebody who hasn't been poisoned by cynicism. In a way.
Neat, yeah.
So this article says Shelby Oaks just became the most funded horror film project on Kickstarter for just a few weeks into its campaign. The found footage feature, written and directed by YouTube film critic and filmmaker Chris Stuckman, is based on a recent internet mystery about a group of missing paranormal investigators. The project has raised, I think they meant, it says raced, but I think they meant raised, has raised to $650,000 from 6,700 backers. I don't know the math on that, but that's a lot of money. So it says on the crowdfunding platform after starting online just 3 weeks ago, and I think it's still got a couple days left, right?
That's about $100 from each contributor.
Okay, that's awesome. Very good. So
good for them.
The film will chart the story of the fictional mid-2000s U.S. investigative team called the Paranormal Paranoids.
I like it.
I like the name. Multiple found footage videos surfaced online last year that prompted horror and ARG, that's alternate reality game, fans to speculate about the veracity of the case and the whereabouts of the investigators. One video appeared to show the abduction of one of the group known as Riley. So what I love about this is just that he was very excited. Like, I tend to be very critical of the trades because I do think most of them are kind of shills for the media in a lot of ways for these companies. There's a very reciprocal relationship between studios and the people who write these magazines.
Right.
One way to point this out is that this thing was this successful, right? And the guy that he's working with sent this story out to all the trades saying, look, this is monumental. Do you guys want to cover this? All of them said no. Except for Deadline, just decided to cover all. It's like they're just like he's like, so it's because it's not tied to a studio,
right? It's
not tied to IP that will generate them clicks, and this is how you build new platforms. This is how you build culture without the machine behind it.
I love this so much. To me, this feels so much like the free market doing what it's exactly what it's supposed to do. So this is a guy who carefully and logically watches movies, and he loves horror. So he's like, okay, I'm going to examine a bunch of horror movies, figure out what's wrong about them, what's right about them, and then I'm going to do my own thing. And I'm going to fund it myself. I don't need a studio. That's great. I think that's super cool. And I really like that it's taken off like this. It's just kind of exciting.
So it boggled my mind that none of the trades would want to cover this, but it also doesn't at the same time. It seems very in line with the way things are. They have their narratives that they want to spin, the stuff they want to cover. But if we want new stuff to get made, stuff where we can only complain about these movies being repetitive, we can only complain about these movies being filled with agendas, whatever that agenda is. It doesn't matter where it comes from. You can only complain for so long before you have to stop complaining and start looking for solutions.
Exactly.
Which seems to be the way a lot of people are going. Eric DeJuly is doing the same thing with comics.
He's doing great.
He's very open about the fact he's like, you should not be giving these people your money. It's something I struggle with because there's a lot of stuff that I watch that's comfort entertainment to me. I'm a lot less likely to watch new things than I am to watch the shows that make me feel safe in a way. And so if we're going to change things, the best way we can do that is to start making our own stuff and not look for the validation from these industries.
Right.
Now, he talks about how he got reached out to by, what was the term he used? He says it's like basically it's like the number one name in indie horror, which is A24 Studios.
Yeah.
He didn't say A24, but he said he didn't want to mention it without. It hadn't gone any further. He's like, who knows if this means anything? But he got reached out to a studio. So even if I don't like these trades in a lot of ways, other than for stuff to talk about, just that one article got him messages from people in the industry, got messages from a studio that he has a lot of respect for.
That's cool.
And that I want him to do his own thing, but I don't blame him if he wants to go and work
Fully
with these studios.
Yeah.
You know, he said that one thing that they're going to do with this project is they're going to make it an immersive experience where they're going to share the filmmaking process along the way, meaning from pre-production into production through post-production, so people can see how difficult it is to actually make a movie.
I love that he's taking people's money and then he's like, okay, we're going to show you exactly what we're doing with it.
And they've got stretch goals. And that's the, like, people who, and a lot of people who, at least people who fund a lot of crowdfunding stuff, they don't necessarily do it just for the final product. They do it because they love going on the journey with that person as it gets made, it gets done. That's why the average campaign isn't going to get fulfilled on time. It usually is. In comics, the joke is always like, it's about a year from whenever you say it's going to come out, about a year later. But it's like you follow them on that journey, and as long as that creator is keeping you up to date on the process as they're going through it, a lot of people forgive lateness so that they can be part of that process of you making this product that you cared so deeply about that you went to a platform and looked to make it on your own. They care about watching you finish that process.
Right.
And you're right about him doing it the right way, because just like with what we do here with Tim built a platform on his own before he struck out and started his own website and his own business. He built up a following first, and that's what you have to do. We talked about that with Brandon, with Sanderson.
Yeah.
He had his own reputation beforehand, so he built up that reputation beforehand and then put it to use in the free market, and that's what Chris Stuckman has done. He has 1.97 million followers on YouTube.
Awesome.
So he's cracking 2 on a channel that does movie reviews. We're not even talking daily content. So to get that many subscribers and retain viewers, retain like high view counts on a channel like that, where the releases aren't on a daily, because you're supposed to be
frequent,
it's not as frequent. That's an accomplishment. So let's see, what was the number you guys had on it here? I just refreshed.
On Shelby, it was
865.
I have $866,446 from 9,000. Oh man, what do you have? From
it's 491.
Yep, from 9,186 backers. Still has 3 days to go. He had another stretch goal of like 750 that they just passed. So that article, he's doing very well. I do also want to point out, if anybody wants to just see what it looks like to crush it, the $32,318,008 and $8. Oh, it just went up again.
I know, I see it.
Another $500 for Brandon Sanderson's campaign.
That's awesome.
With 139,611 backers. Still 8 days to go.
I like his benefits that he showed.
Such a neat thing.
That's the other, like. Yeah, go ahead.
No, but if you keep on scrolling down for each like month, I believe, it says like each month it's like a different theme, and it reminds me of Loot Crate when they first started out.
That's so cool.
And that's what most of these people, when you do these things, you're looking for the stretch goals. So you don't just get the product, you get stickers, you get pins, you get all of this merchandise.
There's like a ranking too if you give more.
Yeah.
And the number one thing about this is all these people will own their own IP, meaning that they don't have to worry about it being bastardized by some mega corporation that's only going to make some production by committee, which means that it's going to be the most bland, boring, inoffensive product you could ever make. Does anybody remember the early 2000s when transgressive humor was like the only way you could get ahead?
Yeah.
Was
Can you
to
explain like what do you mean by that?
Very shock value oriented. You were
Howard Stern.
You were meant to be offensive was the norm, not the exception.
Right.
You were always what we would call edgy now, but edgy is demonized and told that you're immature because these people are in perpetual state of judgment where they're judging everything.
Right.
I would say right now the best example of someone who's doing that well would be Ryan Long. Ryan Long does very good humor.
He walks the line, though. He's not too edgy.
No.
And he has very solid social points to make.
And it's very well thought out. Now, the stuff back then wasn't necessarily the most well thought out stuff.
It was not, no.
But it was the norm for things to talk about. So going back to the Shelby Oaks campaign, I was very, very happy to see the video that he had made talking about how much it meant to him that just an article from Deadline got published about him, which is where it seems like that would be something the norm for the industry. Just for an independent creator, that's a big deal to him.
That's a win, for sure.
I'm more likely to support somebody who's clearly cares about what they're making. One of the things I complain about the most in these industries is the people making these movies now, whether it's comic books, video game movies, they don't care about the characters, they care about launching their careers.
Right.
This is someone that wants to launch his career, but is doing so off the back of something that he clearly cares about and has constructed himself. He is not like the other industries are standing on the shoulders of giants. He is standing on his own shoulders.
Exactly.
Whereas the others are taking the works of those far, far more successful and far more groundbreaking in the past and then using them as a vehicle to launch their own career.
I hate what I see when people like to pull up the ladder behind them, especially comedians. They like to say, oh, no, you can't make jokes like that anymore. Oh, right, I made my living. My bread and butter was making jokes just like that in the past. And the other thing I have to say is that I really love seeing people take social media and take things that are typically not the friend of creative thinkers and turning them into a tool to get ahead on their own. Like the idea of crowdfunding this, incredibly smart, and using social media platforms to do it is just top notch. I love to see it. Love to see it.
So it says every dollar we are raising is going to the screen, said Kuntz. Kuntz is the producer on this film. It says I'll start back up here. It says the film is due to begin production in May in Cleveland. Producers Cameron Burns and Ashley Sneed join Kuntz, who credits include Scare Package, The Pale Door. I remember he did a review for The Pale Door.
Oh, cool.
That was so he apparently knows him. It says according to the producers, Paper Street will also be, that's who's producing this movie, is Paper Street, will also be bringing equity to the financing of the project.
Oh, cool.
So it says AMP International is handling world sale and launched the project in the market last summer. Critic and shorts filmmaker Stuckman, who has 2 million YouTube subscribers, signed with Gotham Group last year and has multiple horror scripts in the works. Yeah,
cool.
He's been very vocal, and he's made a lot of videos talking about his breaking into the industry.
It's hard,
so
sure.
But that's very cool to have like kind of a blow by blow from someone. I know what is Tyrone Magnus he's an actor, right? Yeah. He talks about some of that stuff as well.
I believe so.
Yeah.
I'm just not familiar.
He's a YouTuber who's got a very large following, but is also an actor. I've never actually seen anything he's acted in, but know him as a YouTuber, not as somebody who works in the industry.
I have to say, I love that YouTube lets people do this.
Yep.
Lets normal people break into industries that were previously inaccessible.
Yep. So I'm very excited to see something like this, and I do think that it's important that we start working towards building out our own properties, our own IP, our own ideas, bringing them to whether it's the screen, whether it's paper, the internet. Make what you want so that you don't have to worry about something that you cared about when you were young being used as a tool by a bunch of corporations that don't care about it.
Exactly.
So I just thought that wasn't necessarily the biggest topic of the day, but it was the most feel-good topic of the day.
Yeah, it's a good one.
And for once that doesn't, profit off the back of the pain of one of my co-hosts, like it is when I give Dane bad news. So I know how much he hates that, and how much I take great joy in watching Dane have his heart broken by
Poor Dane, so passionate.
And just so heartbroken. It's a damn shame. So
Indeed.
it is what it is. Thanks for watching this clip, guys. If you want to see full episodes or follow us on social media, links are in the description below. Bye.
Bye.